Hey guys, it's KlaireeBerry. I wanted to do a video today about narcissism. I haven't done a video like this for quite some time. I want to help people, and I feel like I've done a fair amount of research, and at least compared to where I was when I first started researching it, I feel like basically I would be able to help myself if I was to be able to talk to myself when I first started researching narcissism, sociopaths, etc. So I just want to share a little bit about what I've learned and kind of about what is on my mind, the most pressing thing that I have to say about narcissism right now, and that is forget everything you think you know. There is so much misinformation out there, and I think a lot of it is even perpetuated by well-meaning people. It's just so hard to talk about narcissism because it's just almost like autism. I feel like it's definitely, on one hand, it's a spectrum. So you're gonna have people who have narcissistic traits. There's gonna be people who have more narcissistic traits, really high levels of narcissistic traits, borderline, not borderline, personality disorder, but like people who are on the borderline of being narcissistic, or maybe they're, sort of normal or have some levels of empathy. I strongly believe that. And then you're going to have people who are more highly narcissistic. And I know there's a lot of different types of narcissism as well. And I don't even know that much about all the different types because I've only really kind of jumped into learning about the types of narcissists that I personally have dealt with. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but it's just so hard when you're first starting out, when you have a toxic person in your life and you're trying to figure out, like, should I get them out of my life? Should I leave them? Like, what the hell should I do? And then you go and you read these narcissistic checklists, these red flag checklists, and it's like, oh, well, this person doesn't do that, so they must not be a narcissist because this online checklist said so. First of all, like, back to the spectrum, if your toxic person in your life is just a toxic person, you can still treat them as a narcissist. If they have narcissistic tendencies just around you and maybe not other people, maybe there are types that only do it romantically, or there are types that are full-fledged narcissists, Either way, like, don't count it out. If you're having doubts, first and foremost, listen to that and realize that you don't need to label somebody, or you don't need to have concrete proof that someone is a narcissist before you say, okay, this is a toxic person with narcissistic traits, at least when dealing with me, and I don't want any part of it. And I strongly recommend that you guys do that. On top of all of this, every narcissist is going to have different personality, different likes, different dislikes, different upbringing. They are really not all the same. And so what I see is a lot of people, especially on the YouTube videos, again, really well-meaning people, really, really great, even doctors and wonderful people who really know what they're talking about. But once they get started, once they start talking, it's like, well, the narcissist is going to be like this. They're going to say this. They're going to do this. They're going to react like this. And you're still dealing with a person, who has, environmental influences or, inner influences, I don't know, that are going to be different. You're going to have more hot-tempered ones. You're going to have more calm ones. You're going to have more giving ones. You're going to have more stingy ones. There's a spectrum of all of this stuff. So be really careful when you're researching this and you start to see, oh, well, my narcissist doesn't do that. Oh, well, my narcissist doesn't do that. So are they really a narcissist? Again, A, does it matter? B, yes, they can still be a narcissist and do things that are not listed, or that are, listed as something that they wouldn't do, according to someone. And a lot of people, a lot of videos too that I see online, I watched a lot of these types of videos in the past. A lot of it is a person who has been affected deeply by a narcissist or two in their lives or more, and their advice is going to be built around that narcissist that was in their life. So, some people you might relate to more than others, but if you watch somebody, you just don't want to make that snap decision, like I have in the past, of, oh, well, this doesn't apply to them. They're not really a narcissist. They're not really, that person. So I recommend doing a lot of research, learning a lot, more than you think you might need to, and because they're all, everybody's going to react differently, and also because each supply is different too. This is the really big thing. You could have a narcissist that would act one way with one supply, but you're going to have a narcissist act completely different with a different supply person, because they read you, they mirror you, and they base their actions based upon you and how, what they need to do to keep you hooked or to keep you reacting in whatever way that they want. So just keep that in mind as well. Also, I feel like, in the research that I've done, I feel like narcissists are sort of created. I don't believe anybody is born a narcissist, so it happens to them. They become a narcissist in different ways. I feel like sometimes you hear it's neglect, sometimes it's overpraise and, this idealization of the child, you can do no wrong sort of thing. So I would think that those, they could have a lot of differences there. And not only that, but as I kind of alluded to earlier, there are different types of narcissism. So one of the things that I noticed in my personal history here in dealing with this type of stuff is that when I first started researching narcissism, it was like, oh, well, my narcissist isn't violent. I don't see this narcissistic rage. And this and this and this and that. They're just, that can't be them. It must be something else. And then it's like, as I researched more and more and more, I found out about covert narcissism. And I truly believe that covert narcissism is the hardest to detect. It is very different, in some ways the same, and in some ways different. I'll probably end up doing another video about, what a covert narcissist actually is, but there's lots of good information out there. And I would say Peace and Harmony is a channel that is probably at the top of my list. I just love her so much. She's really helped me kind of have a lot of realizations, and so check her out if you want to learn more. But covert narcissism is the same in that, they really need attention and they need supply, and they'll lie and do whatever to get that supply. It's just that they're not as outgoing about it. There's a lot of differences, but they are still very, very deceitful. They're very, very much users, and they're very self-centered, and they want to serve themselves, and they don't have any empathy. It's the same, but yet again it's different. You're not going to see a lot of like outrage and outbursts and, hey, extravagant, look at me. What normally when people think of a narcissist, oh, you're just looking in the mirror, I love myself, everybody look at me, I have to be the center of attention. That is almost more histrionic in a way, but there's a lot of differences. And one thing when you're dealing with covert narcissists to remember is that the abuse is not something that they're doing to you. It's not really like even a lot of the ways they hurt you, they get into your self-esteem, and they dig at you, but they don't do it usually overtly. And so again, you see people listing off these traits and like, oh, they just don't care. And like, you could have a covert narcissist that appears really caring, and also there's the cycles too. Whenever a narcissist is trying to suck back in their supply, say you've gotten to that point where you're past the love bombing phase, you've had discard, they're trying to get you back, they're trying to hoover you back in. Especially, like, let's say you're like me and you've done some research on narcissists. Let's say even you've made the mistake of letting the narcissist know that you think they're a narcissist, or perhaps I thought, you were a sociopath at one point or something like that. Then if the narcissist really wants to continue to have you as a supply, they're going to really have to be careful to even more so hide their narcissism. And that's when you see a little bit more withdrawal usually, because again, if you get too close to these people, you're going to see through their facade. So, you know, they would hold you back a little bit more, and just use different methods, of course, than they did in the beginning. So, you know, somebody might tell you, oh, narcissists are always going to be doing this, always going to be going that far to get you. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of reasons that that just might not be true for you. So, again, this is just a little short video to let you kind of know my opinions and thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have good resources for this sort of thing. I'm still learning and still wanting to, you know, keep on becoming stronger and stronger to basically repel these types of people for the rest of my life. So give me a thumbs up if you like this, thumbs down if you don't want to see any videos like this anymore on my channel. Thanks for watching. Take care. I will talk to you soon. Thanks.